Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Jenna, and today we're going to be talking about breastfeeding. So I'm in the nursery today and I don't have my light with me, so I'm kind of turned in a weird direction so that the window can give me nice lighting. So it looks kind of funny, but we're going to deal with it. We have a very sleepy baby who does not want to go down for a nap. So maybe let's try and take a nap with Mom. Oh, I know. Okay, speaking of breastfeeding, we're gonna try to do that right now. I really wanted to get this video up because I've been putting it off. I don't know why, but it's been like 3 weeks since I've uploaded a video, and I just keep on thinking that I don't have time, even though I do, and I just put it off. So I just wanted to get it up there because I've been saying for weeks and probably months now that I'm going to film a breastfeeding video because it's been quite the journey. So I don't really know how this video is going to go. I just want to start off by saying that I do not know everything. I'm not a breastfeeding pro. I am just sharing my own personal experience and things I've learned that work for me and my baby. So yeah, I'm not trying to give you instructions. I hope I can give you advice and tips that I have learned to do, but they may not work for you, they just work for me. So I just want to give some more info to other people who may be struggling with breastfeeding or are just curious what it could possibly be like. So first I want to start off by saying that I really didn't know anything about breastfeeding before I had Hazel. I thought it was pretty much instinct. Like, I knew people could have trouble breastfeeding, but I thought, like, as long as your milk came in and your baby didn't have any like major mouth problems, that it was just instinct and they would know what to do and you'd know what to do, and that was far from the truth. I mean, there is some instinctual qualities that come with breastfeeding, but the whole thing in total is not normally all instinct. And I learned that the hard way. So I just wanted to make a video about my experience so far with breastfeeding. Obviously, I'm still really new to it. She's super loud right now, sorry. But obviously I'm still new to it and I'm going to learn a lot more along the way. I hope I'm able to breastfeed for a lot longer, but so far in my past almost 3 months of breastfeeding, I feel like I've gone through quite a bit and learned quite a bit from my own experience. Starting off, I wanted to talk about right away from the beginning, straight away when I had her. I waited 2 hours to nurse because I was really nervous. Honestly, I was more nervous about breastfeeding than I was about labor and delivery. I kept saying, like, I'm so nervous to have the baby because I'm so nervous about breastfeeding. I sadly, like, I was really not looking forward to it because I just didn't know what to expect, and I don't know. It just wasn't really like something I was pumped to do. So I didn't really do much research, and I really wish I did. But first of all, I waited about 2 hours because I waited for one of the nurses to come in and kind of help me learn what to do. And that was, I think, my first thing I would change. I think I would go back and breastfeed right away. I say for my next one, I really want to try to breastfeed right when we start skin to skin, like minutes after he or she comes out. So yeah, I would change that next time. I would start breastfeeding as soon as I could, and alone. I wouldn't wait for the nurse, I don't think, because I think it just made me more nervous than anything. And I'm a pretty private person. And when they taught me how to do it, they literally just like shoved my boob in her mouth and smashed her head up against me, and it freaked me out because they were kind of just like flinging her head everywhere. I didn't know what to do. I was nervous and I was anxious and I didn't really want to breastfeed right away. And so when they came in, I had like 3 nurses like grabbing onto me and just like forcing it in her mouth, and it was making her upset and it was making me feel really nervous because, you know, I thought she was supposed to eat right away. I was like, she's probably hungry. And I was just getting nervous because she wasn't latching, and they're like, it's okay, we'll try again in a couple of minutes or half an hour or something. Right away from the very first time we tried, it was just not easy and it didn't work. So then they're like, okay, try to feed her every 3 hours or every 2 to 3 hours for 15 minutes on each side. And I was like, okay. So I would try, and they'd come in, they're like, when did you feed her last? And I was like, oh, I just tried, but she didn't latch, so she didn't get anything. And they're like, okay, make sure you try again so that she actually gets food. And they didn't really, I don't know, that's all they pretty much said. They were just like, keep trying. And they kept bringing in different nurses trying to show me how to put it in her mouth the right way. And I was doing it, and it wasn't working, and they didn't really tell me in detail what to do. They just were doing it for me, and I'm the type of person that learns from watching and then doing, and so I didn't get the chance to do it by myself. They just kind of like did it for me, and it never worked when they did it, and then they'd leave, and I was like, okay, well, she's still not latching, what do I do? And she was just so hungry, especially that first night. She wouldn't sleep. She was just crying all night because she wanted to eat but could not eat. And so the next day, so the second day she was here, I was like, okay, I'm going to try my own thing, because they basically told me about the cradle hold and the football hold, and that's all. And since I didn't research before, I thought those were the only two ways. And I was like, you know what? No, I'll figure it out. Like, I'm going to figure out my own way to do it. If she's not going to eat, I need to make her eat somehow. And so I waited for a time when no nurses were in there and nobody was in there. It was just me and her. And I was like, okay. So I just laid her down pretty much like flat in my lap, and I went a little bit over her and like let it just drip into her mouth. And honestly, that feeding was the only successful feeding that we had in the hospital. That was one time, and she never ever did that again. In the hospital, at home, nothing. And so we went home that night. I was still kind of nervous because she wasn't breastfeeding, but I thought, well, maybe when she gets more hungry, she'll learn and she'll just eat because she has to. That was wrong. That night at home, our first night home, so our second night that she was here, was so hard. The second night, they always say, is like when they cluster feed the most, because they're trying to get your milk to come in, and they're finally like, okay, I'm outside in this world now, and I'm hungry, like all I know is my mom, so I just need to like eat. So they just cluster feed. And for her, she tried and I tried. I was literally trying to feed her all night long, but she would just scream. She screamed all night. We were up all night. I think I slept maybe 45 minutes to an hour that night. And I was like, well, I don't know what she wants. She's obviously not hungry. Her diaper's changed. She's got to be tired, but she won't sleep. I had no idea what was wrong, because I thought if she was really that hungry, she'd eat. Like I said, I thought it was instinct. And I thought I was doing everything that I could. But the next morning, I was like, okay, I need to do something, because obviously she's not getting food. And so I had my husband, thank God that he got work off that week, but he went to the store and got nipple shields. And this is the first thing I want to tell you. If you're having trouble getting a latch, try a nipple shield first. Like, try that. I'm telling you, it was such a lifesaver. The second I got the nipple shields, she latched onto it. I don't know if it was actually a latch or just that her suction was strong enough that milk was coming out. But thank God for those things. Like, it's so amazing that someone thought to create something like that, because that saved us that day. When I started using those, she immediately started eating more, and she was happier. But I didn't have the right size, and it was hurting me very, very bad. So that was really hard for me to use them. I did use them, obviously, because that's the only way she could eat. But it was hard to use them because it hurt. So now, fast forward a little bit, she started using the nipple shields, whatever, yada, yada, yada. I tried to make her latch without them. She wouldn't. So the next day, we had her first checkup, because in the hospital, she was losing weight, and they were worried about the latch. And so the next day, we had the checkup, and our pediatrician was like, ooh, she's losing a lot more weight than I'd like her to. So I suggest that you supplement with formula or pump and bottle feed. And I didn't like either of those options, because it felt like I was failing. Don't take that the wrong way. If you do, pump and bottle feed or if you formula feed. I was just really, like, I felt very inadequate as a mom, I guess, that I couldn't breastfeed. Like, I thought it was instinct, and I was like, well, clearly something is wrong with me if I can't even figure out how to breastfeed. So I was having such a bad day that day just because it was 3 days after birth and my milk started to come in and she wasn't eating, and I don't know, it was just like so much stuff piled on top of each other that made me very upset and sad. So I had a mental breakdown, but I was like, I gotta do what's best for her. So I pumped and I got as much colostrum as I could out of me, and we bottle fed her, and she needed that. When I gave her her bottle, she took to it right away, and she looked as if she had just been saved. Like, it was the sweetest yet saddest thing for me to see, because that was the moment that I realized the reason she'd been so upset is because she was so hungry. And when I gave her that bottle, she was like, wow, thank you. I was so hungry. And it made me so sad because I couldn't help her those previous days, and she had just spent 2 days, her first 2 days here, like, starving, and it made me so sad. But it also made me so happy that she was finally getting nutrition, and it gave me a little bit of hope, because I was like, at least I can still give her breast milk, and she'll take it through a bottle. After that, we did continue to bottle feed because she needed to gain her weight back, but I was determined to not give up on breastfeeding. So after I gave her a bottle, every time she took a bottle, I tried to breastfeed her. And if she wouldn't latch on, I would put the nipple shield on and she would finish up eating from the nipple shield. And that seemed to work for us. And then I was reading more things that, like, could help with a latch and like help a baby learn to latch and stuff like that. And one thing I wanted to give you a tip is, if your baby is not latching, this is really strange, but I saw it on Google. Try taking an ice cube and, like, putting it on your nipple, and it will make it cold, which will therefore make it more firm, and it's easier for a baby to latch if it's more firm. And the times I did that were the times that we got a latch for a couple seconds. We still never got a full latch until, when I'll tell you, but that was the time when we got a partial latch, like where she would actually have a suction and then she'd let go. But it helped so much. So if you're having trouble with your baby latching, try that. That was such a good tip that I saw on Google, so that was great. And on day 6 of her life, we had a home nurse come, and this is when the game changed for us. So we had a home nurse come to my house, and she basically gave me a paper on breastfeeding because, like I said, she was losing weight. But side note, those bottles helped her gain her birth weight back very quickly, so that was awesome. The home nurse came and she just gave me a pamphlet booklet thing on breastfeeding, and I was like, yeah, I've heard it. I've heard so much from different lactation consultants, nurses. I've heard everything, I feel like. So I was like, I'm not going to read that because it's just going to make me frustrated because I've been doing everything and it's just not working. And later that night, I was like, I'll just look at it because it's resources. Maybe there's something in there that I haven't seen. And there was. The one thing that I had not tried for a latch, which is you're supposed to do straight from the beginning, is aiming towards the roof of their mouth. So instead of trying to get them to latch and aiming just directly in the middle like you would with a straw or something, you have to try and get your nipple on the roof of their mouth because that's where their sucking reflex is. So I was like, okay, we're going to try this. I'm going to wait till she's not hungry. So just like peaceful, maybe a little bit hungry, but not crabby hungry. And so I waited, and I was like, we're going to do this very slowly, very patiently, and we're going to try a couple times. If she gets upset, we'll stop and try again later. The first time I tried aiming to the roof of her mouth, she latched for like 5 minutes, and I was like, I just about cried because I was so proud of her, and I was so proud of myself for trying, and it actually worked. And then every time after that we tried, and it got a little bit better each time. And now we are doing great. I'm just so thankful that that nurse gave me that pamphlet. And also, one of my family friends sent a video link that gave me even more tips on how to get a better latch. And after those things, it was like, I just can't believe she learned to latch, because that first week felt so hopeless. So hopeless. But we kept trying and we got it. I will say that first week that we learned to latch, it was very, very painful because her latch was really shallow and it was causing like shooting pains and just really bad soreness, along with those nipple shields that I was using before. They just like were too small and making a lot of friction, and it hurt very, very bad. I'm editing this right away in the morning and I'm in my pajamas and I've got all this going on, but I just realized I forgot to mention something that I really wanted to mention, and that's at this point when she learned to latch, like about a week into her life, she started to cluster feed a lot. She was eating about every 10 to 30 minutes, and by that I mean she just barely ever got off of me. We'd finish eating, I'd burp her, and then she'd fall asleep for maybe 5 minutes and wake up to eat again. And it happened all throughout the day for about a week. And I was thinking to myself, like, why is this happening? But I think it's pretty normal at that time in life. And if it's happening to you, just know that it's short-lived and you'll get through it quickly. Just hang in there. At around 2 weeks of her life, we started exclusively breastfeeding, like on the breast. So we didn't use bottles anymore unless we needed to, or unless I wanted to, for like if we were out and about. It took about 3 weeks after we started only breastfeeding for it to not hurt me anymore. It just took a little bit of getting used to, and I never got like cracked or bleeding nipples, but they were just really sore. And everyone says if you have a good latch, it shouldn't hurt. But everybody I've talked to who has no problems breastfeeding say that it hurts for the first couple of weeks. So if you're wondering what you're doing wrong because it hurts and you're just starting, you might not be doing anything wrong. It just does hurt. It's not something you're used to, you know? But there is hope that it will stop hurting. So now I just want to talk about a couple things that I think were good to know, and I hope they help you too. But first, the engorgement. I had no idea that you'd get engorged and that full when your milk came in. I had heard from my mom that it hurts pretty bad, but I was like, oh, whatever. Like, maybe it's probably not like that. It's probably just like a weird rush of pressure, I guess. Oh my goodness, I just want to warn you. I'm not trying to scare you, but I want to warn you. It was one of the worst pains ever, was the day my milk came in. They were so swollen and rock hard. Just like when you pressed, like there was no give. It was just solid. And it was the grossest feeling ever. And I was like, if I'm feeling like this for the whole time I'm breastfeeding, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna last very long doing this because it was awful. Luckily that only lasted for like 3 or 4 days until my body regulated itself and realized, okay, we don't need to make that much milk. Just hang in there. It really does get better and rarely hurts anymore unless you get super engorged. Another thing is if you have a really heavy letdown, which is making your baby choke or kind of sputter out milk, try laid back nursing, where you kind of like lay back and have them on top of you. It really helps them control how much milk they want to take in all at once. That's something that's helped us a lot, because it would just go all over her face and whatever. So try that. And then the third thing is the Haakaa. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's called a silicone manual breast pump, but basically it's just like a suction cup that you stick on the other side when you're nursing, and you suction it to you and it catches your letdown and pulls out more. So it's something that can help your supply if your supply is decreasing, and it's also something that will help you not spray your baby when you're nursing with the other side right away in the beginning. I think everybody who's breastfeeding should get it. So yeah, I think that is all I have to say. I know it's not much information, but I just want to end this video with a couple of words of encouragement. If you want to breastfeed, do not give up. I know that some women can't breastfeed, so I know that that's a problem, and I'm not saying that that's your fault. I was so close to giving up because it made me feel like so bad that I couldn't figure out how to make her latch, and I just wanted to give up. I just wanted to pump and only bottle feed, or I wanted to go to formula. Like, it just, that first week was the hardest, longest week probably of my whole life because I just felt so defeated. But I want to give you hope. Just keep trying. Just keep trying. And maybe you guys will learn together. We did, and I didn't think we'd ever learn. So just keep on trying. Another thing I wanted to say is, if it's hurting you, keep pushing through if you want to breastfeed. It will get better. Your body will regulate itself. I just want to encourage you to keep on trying. And it's okay if you're not breastfeeding. It's okay if you're formula feeding. It's okay if you're pumping and bottle feeding. It is okay. And you do what's best for you and your baby. If your baby's fed, you're doing great. I just wanted to give you hope with my experience because I know I felt very hopeless. And hearing other people's stories of having problems and then solving them was really encouraging to me. I didn't know that breastfeeding was hard for a lot of people, but it really is, and it's not easy. It's really not easy for most people. It takes a lot of work, and I would encourage you to do your research before you have your baby. It will take a lot less stress off of you and will make you feel a lot more confident in your own ability to feed your baby. But my timer for dinner is going off, so I need to sign off real quick. But I want to thank you for watching. If you have any questions or you just need to talk to someone, I'm here for you. Follow me on Instagram, send me a DM over there. I love to talk, encourage each other. But yeah, anyway, I'm gonna get going. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this helped you or gave you hope, and I'll maybe see you next time. Bye!